Hi everyone, I'm Christine and today I'm going to read some haiku and also chat to you a little bit about haiku. Now, I'm sure everything I say you all know anyway, but it's always nice to feel clever, isn't it? So, haiku. The thing people seem to know about haiku is that there are 5, 7, 5 3-line structure, which is absolutely right in Japanese because they have very short sound units. So it really sounds beautiful, very quick and light. And our language functions in syllables, and some of those can be really long. So to get to that lovely brevity of lightness, which is so much part of the beauty of haiku, we usually now do around 11 syllables. But you can go much lower, and you can actually go above 17 syllables if it's right for the haiku you're working with. Another important thing about haiku, of course, is that so many are about nature and the season in nature. So we're going to have a couple now on nature itself. In the field, horses drinking from a rainbow. In the field, horses drinking from the rainbow. Moonlight, a gentle breeze stretches the web. Moonlight, a gentle breeze stretches the web. And many haiku, as we all know, have a strong philosophical element, and that comes very naturally in haiku because Buddhism is a natural part of Japanese culture, and it comes out in haiku as well, with writing something in the present tense to show it's a moment of realization in the present that you're in at that moment, and usually an observation about something quite small. Haiku don't try and be big and dramatic. They can be small and also dramatic. So here are 3 little haiku using wings as the theme. Seeing the world through a dragonfly's wing, more wings. Seeing the world through a dragonfly's wing, more wings. Ladybird, joining up the dots. Ladybird, joining up the dots. And finally, butterflies in the wind, pushing against time. Butterflies in the wind, pushing against time. Another important thing about haiku is the juxtaposition of 2 images. Sometimes they're very close together and you can see the connection very quickly, and sometimes, what is also very interesting, they can be far apart and you really have to think how they do have a connection between them. And often it is the juxtaposition of 2 images, very often sight, because that is such a dominant sense for us as humans. But you can use the other senses, and sometimes you have a sense and then a cerebral thought. And all of them must be concrete facts. You can't waft on and talk about love and hate and anything which shows your emotions without explanation. So in haiku we must have facts, whether they're facts about the senses or facts that you're thinking. And what is so wonderful about haiku is if you do that, you stick to facts, they can have a very powerful reaction in your reader or listener, which is that's another thing that's so exciting about them. You can say something very factual, but it creates an emotional response in your reader or listener. And as I've just said, sight is the most common sense that we use for haiku. So just for a change, I thought we'd look at 3 about smell. Massage with amber and patchouli, boiling sprouts. Massage with amber and patchouli, boiling sprouts. Blue lavender into the distance, field of dung. Blue lavender into the distance, field of dung. Vanilla wind, is Granny baking in the kitchen? Vanilla wind is granny breaking in the kitchen. Many haiku that we call haiku in the West should really be called senryu or senju, when the subject matter is the human world and its foibles. And it follows the same structure as a haiku. So we do tend to blur it a bit, and the Japanese are very proper about the distinction. So you'll find in magazines a mixture of the two, or very often a mixture of the two. So here are a few senryu focusing on relationships. Baritone and bass in the bath, bubbles. Baritone and bass in the bath, bubbles. The door slams. I eat your share of cherry pie. The door slams. I eat your share of cherry pie. Running my hand through your curls. The waves go on and on. Running my hand through your curls. The waves go on and on. The morning after. Fuzzy bees wake us up. The morning after. Fuzzy bees wake us up. Haiku have a very important element, and this is another one. When we write a haiku, we think of the haiku in two parts, as having two parts, and we can call in English those two parts the fragment, which is a one line, and the phrase, which is made of two lines that blend together into one phrase. And you can have the fragment first and then the phrase, or the phrase first and then the fragment. It doesn't matter. But two of those lines must definitely link. But you mustn't have separate lines without any pushing together of two, because if you do, you end up with just a three-line poem. That wonderful link making the phrase and having the fragment is yet another beautiful thing about haiku. And so that's one we must follow. So here are a couple of examples. The first one is fragment, then phrase. Appointment. A dog examines the vet's hands. Appointment. The dog examines the vet's hands. And then this next one is a phrase first, followed by a fragment. My puppy has the shiniest nose. Snail trail. My puppy has the shiniest nose. Snail trail. So we've looked actually at just a tiny number of rules in haiku. Oh, there are easily over 30 and more. And that's why people say it can take 10 years before you can begin to understand haiku. And I'm only 3 years in and I can really believe it, because they seem so simple, but they're so complicated. And that's what's so exciting, to say complicated things in a tiny number of words, only talking in a factual way, concrete way. So there are these many rules. We've just looked at a few, as I've just said. But just to make things more exciting, well, it is if you like writing haiku, sometimes you break some of the rules. But that's only something to really think about once you've got your haiku going. And what's so lovely about haiku is if you love poetry and you're a poet as well already, if you sort of did a bit of research into haiku, read a few lovely full-length haiku poetry books, you'd begin to get the gist of it. And I'm almost certain that if you started writing them, that somewhere in the first 20 you wrote, for example, it's very likely you'll have one or more than one that's actually a really good haiku ready to show other people. That's why I like everybody to think about coming into the haiku world because it's very welcoming, and you can write some really good ones really quickly. And then, as we know, once you've done that, you write about 100 that are absolutely terrible. But here are just a few to finish off. This is about a young child and her feet. Cherry blossom, my baby girl flirts with her toes. Cherry blossom, my baby girl flirts with her toes. My baby's first footsteps, wobble. My baby's first footsteps, wobble. Hopping with the robin, red wellies. Hopping with the robin, red wellies. And to finish off with my favourite kind of haiku, which blend the natural and the human world together. 3 times of day here. Sunrise through a dragonfly's wing, morning coffee. Sunrise through a dragonfly's wing, morning coffee. Sunny day, little boy shaking wishes from a dandelion. Sunny day, little boy shaking wishes from a dandelion. Twilight, a sheepdog calls his master home. Twilight, a sheepdog calls his master home. Thank you.